Hey everyone, Shilo from Berwick Public Library. And today I have a chapter book. It's junior fiction. It's called The Remarkable Journey of Coyote's Sunrise, and it's written by Dan Gemeinhart. Gemeinhart? I'm not entirely sure how to pronounce the last name. If you have an idea, let me know. So it is the story of Coyote, a 12-year-old girl, and her father, Rodeo, and they live on a school bus. They travel around and they live on a school bus. And that's what they've been doing for the past 5 years. This book really kind of caught my attention because, one, I like the colors. I love journeys. I love road trips. And the idea of making a school bus into a home was really intriguing to me. So what happens, and you find out right from the beginning, is that Coyote had 2 sisters and a mother, and all 3 of them were in a car crash and died, all at the same time. And Coyote's dad's heart was just busted, completely busted, and the way that he handled it was took a school bus, made it into a home, they hit the road, and they never looked back. And that was really important to her dad. He had a lot of no-goes, things they didn't talk about. They didn't talk about the sisters. They didn't talk about the mom. They didn't talk about what happened. They didn't talk about their old life. Her dad said, you only look forward. You don't have to look back. What do you think? I'm wondering if you think that's good advice or not, because what it turns out that Coyote has a reason she needs to get home. She needs to get back home. She finds out that a park in her old neighborhood is being demolished. And she and her sisters and her mom made a memory box shortly before the accident, and they put letters in there to each other and little keepsakes, and they buried it in that park. And when Coyote realizes the park is going to be demolished, she realized the memory box is going to go. And that couldn't happen because they had all made a promise to each other that they would go back and dig it up and look through it together. But because Coyote's father does not want to go back, Coyote has to be a little sneaky in how she gets him to drive all the way across the United States to get home before this happens. And along the way, they pick up a number of passengers. Can you see all those? And everybody has their own story, right, travelers? Every human being has their own story. And we get to know and love all of these characters. And through these characters and through Coyote, we experience a lot of love, a lot of friendship, a lot of different types of love. And it really stops and makes you think, what is love and what does it mean to love somebody, anybody, your friend, your parent, your family, any other human. It also talks a lot about personal strength, being who you are, and the importance of really owning that, saying, this is me. This is who I am. Here I am. And being strong and confident in that. The other theme that I thought was huge and important for all of us to think about is what happens when you ignore feelings, any feelings. So Coyote and her dad were ignoring sadness, grief, probably even anger. I don't know how many of you have had somebody you love who's died, but there's a lot of feelings that go with that. And Coyote never really had the chance to go through those feelings. and to live them and experience them, because her dad was he was, it was too much for him. It was so scary for him. So there's a lot of pretty serious things in the book, but at the same time, it's a book that is just full of light, right? You can't recognize light if you don't see the dark. So you got to have them both together, and this book really kind of talks about that, and it just shows so much love and resilience and strength. And I thought one of the things that kind of attracted me to it when I was checking out the back, somebody read it and they wrote their assessment of the book, said, sometimes a story comes along that just plain makes you want to hug the world. Your heart needs this joyful miracle of a book. And I loved it. It's true. It felt like a big hug. It felt like a sunrise. You know, there was a lot to it, but I think it reminded me, especially in these times where it might feel a little uncertain, it might feel a little scary, it might feel a little confusing. There's so many things going on and so much that we're trying to grapple with, especially kids. Not going to school and all the changes that came. So this really just was a lifter. It was a big lifter. The only thing that I was questioning, and I would love to talk to somebody else about it, was the main character is a girl. She's a 12-year-old girl, and it was written by an adult man. I think he did a decent job. He's a teacher. He works with kids. I think he's got a pretty good grip. But as somebody who was a 12-year-old girl, there were some things that I questioned, things that personally I would have reacted to differently. But of course, this is Coyote, and she's had a very different life than I ever had. So it's hard to compare, because it's true, we each have our own stories and we take life differently because of them sometimes. So I would be curious what other people thought about her. She's very, very wise. She's very open and understanding, clear thinking, and I was impressed with that. And I wonder if you would be too. So if you happen to have read this book, it's new. It came out, I think it just came out this year, 2020. We just got it. It's got a new sticker on it. If you happen to read it or you have read it, please let me know what you thought about it, because I'm so very curious to see what other people thought about it. All right, so enjoy, stay safe. We'll see you soon.